Hi Lewis, this is week's review. Not the best week in terms of PNL, but I think I'm kind of getting hang of a few things in terms of risk management and why is it important to actually have one and kind of a defined one as well, and thinking like in long term rather than short term, building a discipline. I'll have a look at the AAOI from Friday. Basically, why I shouldn't have traded it, and I probably knew I shouldn't have traded it, but it just was one of those that I have some free time to kill and the chance like to put a trade on or something before I go. But this gapped up above the previous level where we see here. Actually, it dipped below, so trapped some shorts. Nice little dip below free psychological level, and then just kept pushing higher with a on a daily, I would say a huge volume, just like float rotated 4 times. On 15, why I shouldn't have traded is something that I'm looking for is 15-minute J lines, basically 1000 EMA on 1 minute, which it gaps up, dips into that, and then with some volume picking up, reclaimed and pushed higher. This wasn't valid as well due to time of day. Something I would probably look. Mostly, I'm looking for pre-market high rejections, but like golden zone or like a lower high, something that I'm considering as well in trading. This was the bad time of day, so it did this. So once it does that and reclaims, holds the levels, holds this level, you could expect it to actually probably only trade I should have taken is after 1 p.m. So somewhere from here, maybe look something at this, or even then just wait for pre-market high rejection, see what it does there. But I got involved much earlier, around 360 level, which is like inside the golden zone. But once I got in, even the entry was good. Let me bring up the chart. Bring this up. So even though I had a decent enough entry, so even I had a decent enough entry, and I think I managed the first trade maybe as well. Didn't want to allow myself a bigger risk in terms of didn't want to get lost. It's like most of the time it happens when I'm like sized into the trade, and then it like I allow it to go against me above my risk, which was previous high, and then think, oh, what it's gonna do, and then don't take any actions and allow it to even like go higher. Sort of similar like what he did on the third trade, more or less. So I just cut my position in half. I think it looked like it's breaking down, so I think added more and then literally quickly cut above previous high and re-entered. But once I got into the trade, even though it looked like a nice flush, nice stuff with a big selling, abnormal volume spike, previously big selling, I got in and I was looking at it, and it's like I didn't have my targets in terms of this would be my target 50 retracement, and then following one would be this, either that or sometimes I'm taking, depending on the trade, I'm looking at 9 EMA on 15 and 20 on a 15, depending how far apart they are, how what's the gap between them, more or less like determining is it worth taking the trade. But once I got in here, I'm like looking at this and it's like, so I took some there and then thinking, okay, maybe I want to see this, but we already been there, and it just didn't make any sense to me. And I noticed, of course, that the volume was holding, which was kind of a red flag around, yeah, here where I started taking some half position off and adding, taking again half, trying to manage it. So I noticed this is more like a sustained volume rather than quite spiky. So it's just holding same one. The 15 minute as well was looking on 15. Once we did this and that consolidation indecision, this indecision candle, it's like opened up with a sustained volume on this candle, and I could already see that we're gonna post a higher volume than previous 15-minute candles, and that's made me not like it even more so. And of course, obviously, it did exactly that. So it's like I don't know. I'm seeing one thing, but still trying to make it work against basically against what I'm seeing. But still managed. Yeah, took some off, added, took half, added, took half off, added, and then just scaled out of my position because I saw this previous level holding. It didn't break down there, so I just covered it all. And third trade was already like, yeah, I was already late where I had to leave, so it was just like something stupid actually. Like wasn't much control in this thing. This felt this was actually felt quite good apart from the part where it didn't make any sense in terms of targets and the actual setup wise. It wasn't A plus, let's just say that, but I do believe managed it quite correctly, and this wasn't a huge loss. These two trades, it was kind of like a manageable normal loss. What else do we have? Okay, next I had a AMTD. Where is it? Over here. AMTD. Yeah, this was lack of patience. Actually, time wise as well. I waited enough after 1 p.m., which I normally do. Waited for this, but wasn't patient enough to actually wait for at least $2. Started like too early because it's bound to go test that psychological level either way, and this wasn't looking like bigger volume here, some spikes here, but it wasn't like entry wasn't like a huge stuff or anything like this. It wasn't like a very parabolic extension with a blowout volume or whatever that would entice me to go in. I'm not entirely sure why I jumped in this one actually. Just not patient enough to wait for the level. I had like 205 and 235, I believe, which was a point of control on a daily. So I started too early. Then of course added. Still didn't wait for 205. Added just at $2, and then took everything off cut here. And due to the loss, I kind of wasn't looking for re-entry. It took me aback a little bit. So maybe I should have cut it. Not maybe, but definitely I should have cut it earlier. Actually, from this maybe higher, somewhere here or here. I'm sure there was like a bit prop coming in support in here for this push. So if I cut early, I can actually take this trade with a nice sell-off. I noticed on this one, I noticed at 201, I think there was a seller, like a aggressive on the ask over here. I didn't wait for it to retest that level over here. Took the trades earlier, thinking, okay, lower high, and then sort of give that sort of breakdown, which as well didn't literally work and had too much of a size here. This was feeling uncomfortable. This push against me. Ideally, it should have been like lower size. Perceived risk was this high to above 205, and once we tested that too, I saw the same seller that I saw here being aggressive on the ask and restacking, which I actually did take tape file on this seller. So yeah, I held through that because I knew the seller was there, so it just confirmed there. Was expecting a bigger fade, it didn't give. Covered a half in this, and risk just a little bit above $2 where that seller was. So I was risking just that, basically just above that seller, thinking that it's just gonna keep rejecting there and fade. Okay. What else did we have? NTD. I had a CMRA. On a higher time frame, what do we have? 15. Okay, that's pre-market high. So I think I took the pre-market high rejection, hoping for a rejection of pre-market high, which was there. Yeah, this I think I felt like I jumped into too soon. Isn't more like not instinctive but reactionary. So we just got there. I didn't wait for any much confirmation or something. Just literally jumped in on a level, and realizing that, and we holding it. So I cut my position straight away. Then we get this like sell-off stuff. That's where I re-enter. Added more on the same level. Added more. Pushed. That's just basically slippage. I was trying to cover literally above that level. Didn't want us to give much away, or not even a slippage. Actually, like this down, and then this. It was looking quite strong, so just got it there. Re-enter on this breakdown, like a distribution pattern or D pattern, or re-enter on that. Added some there, but then again, I should have probably cut it here where we held the level, where we made this push. So like a demand zone, created a demand zone. Should have maybe cut there, or actually cut break even, rather than looking for the ad, because looking at the volume we have compared to all this, and we held that level, so it may have gone higher, which it actually did. But like I added, and this is, I think there was no slippage. I think here I stopped where I wanted, but I think this I got a little bit slippage because I had this level, it rejected, so that's where my final ad. And then once we pushed through, once it broke the offer, it sort of skipped a little bit faster, and that's where I cut my position. Took 3 trades, left it alone, no trade anymore. This kind of felt quite okay. It was a loss, but it didn't really affect me that much in terms of, I knew I had to take that loss, so it's just part of the game. Just need to identify better if it's actually gonna work and if it's in my favor. This probably was a little bit better because we got this, I would say, like emotional parabolic extension, so it has to give a pullback at some point. So just, yeah, you have to keep working on the patient. So CMRA, MEGL, that was, I had a couple levels on this. I didn't like it was kind of like a secondary trade, not my main watch. At this point, I felt like I'm getting too antsy to get into the trade. So instead of trying to chase it and be like emotional and get my entry somewhere here, I just set a passive order at 7 and wait for it to fill once it got there, because I had the level at 7 and 7 just above, I think 720 or something like this, and one was, I think, 680 as well. So once we held that, I just set a passive order there. This was quite fast, the rejection, and it was, I would say, my 1 hour loss. If it would have gone to, I think, 740, yeah, 740 would be like a 1 hour loss for what I'm willing to risk, regarding like 3 trades a day. So it was okay, and once it fell quickly, I knew, I can't say I knew, but I just allowed for it to work. This was an error covering error, covered my whole position. Instead of, I wanted just to take a screenshot So that was a mistake. That's why I re-entered straight away, thinking, okay, it confirmed what it's doing. Thesis seems to be right, so I just re-entered straight away. Risk was still the same, so I would have given back everything from this trade. But since I entered that the same way, I decided to treat it as a one trade, not two trades. So that's why I kept the risk. It may be a little bit stupid, but because of the hotkey error. And so yeah, it worked. Took a at my first target. This was my second target, 590. But I didn't. I already had an order sitting there, but I removed it after I saw this stuff into VWAP with a high volume. It made me think, okay, maybe it's gonna give a little bit more. So that's why I took the order off. Didn't get any more covers here, and then just lowered my risk into into end of day, and I got stopped out around here. This was quite. I was quite okay with this. It's quite a decent trade. MEGL, PMXD. PMXD was a touch later to screens past 1 p.m. So this fading didn't chase and waited for golden zone with set alarm. Smaller size, risk 550, just under 1/3 of MDL. So again, as I talked about my perceived risk, so one third, 1/3 of MDL. So based on MDL and free losing trades. So that was my risk, risking above high of day, 550, sized accordingly, and just took it to my targets. Didn't cover on any of these. Was quite happy with this one. PMXD, PYPD. What happened here? PYPD. Mhm, mhm. Yeah, had a change of bias on this one for some reason. Oh yeah, freeze a little bit with a stop at first trade, but even managed to present an observant of tape and box, and due to thinking of PNL having not great average caused me to overthink this. Yeah, that's one of my problems as well. It's once I'm not patient enough, and I get somewhere random, a bit randomish level, and once it pushes against me, I kind of freeze. Sometimes I cut it. I don't know what's the difference. Maybe the size being smaller, so I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna allow you go against me a little bit, but then it doesn't seem to be coming back. I think then when I that's when I'm starting to do a little bit random things. But I do believe I stayed quite well observant on this one. Didn't like that I allowed to go this far, but I managed then to still keep watching at the tape and box rather than focusing on the candles. I think I had a decent ad, took some cover, add another ad, cover, and then I believe that was break even here. And then for some reason I decided to switch bias after observing this and talked myself into taking a long on it. By my thesis, my stop maybe needed to be tighter, just that immediate. Yeah, this it looked like this little dip below VWAP and J-Lines reclaim a little bit increase in volume. I did think this is gonna go long, which I did, and I thought my perceived risk was 190, so I wanted to get entry as much as I close to 190. That's where I got the entry, and I was willing to risk kind of this. Thesis was to risk this because we did this trap and then did this little buy it back up. So I should have maybe risked this, but I did risk this level, and then I have tightened it once we didn't actually get push higher. I tightened it to a little bit kind of a random level, not even this or what, but it's just totally random. So lost from the initial thesis. I've actually lost a little bit more than I wanted, because my initial thesis was risk my at 187, and with this entry 193. And I only took this long because I did talk myself into that this is gonna go higher and not gonna fade, and I thought, well, if I feel so strong about it, I may as well put the risk on and see what happens. And I think that's it from the trades of for this week. That's all I had. Kind of a little bit, yeah. I'm quite happy that it's taking a little bit less trades. Our results not the greatest, but kind of for now at least managing to stick to the limit. Okay, the tape thing I was watching at AMTD, the perceived bid prop and aggressive refresh on the ask. It's kind of a little bit, how to say this, it's a little bit still kind of hard to grasp in terms of, as you keep saying, and we all know that big player don't show, or buyer or seller doesn't show size. So it's one of those, I don't know, weird situations where I'm not entirely sure if it's actually a seller or a buyer. But it did look like a seller basically. So that's the first time I noticed this, is after we did this rejection and came back to this level, like above around $2. And so okay, they were bid propping. Seller showed heavy refresh and pressure on ask and heavy selling into bid prop. So there was a bid prop into like $2, but this was kept refreshing and aggressively adding while tape was running red. So that's the first instance. But I didn't take any action there. Once we got closer, kind of didn't wait for it to retest that level, and I thought it's just gonna be like a nice lower high, lower high, lower high, and this one's gonna be another like one of the lower highs. That's where it's gonna go, and not gonna go higher, because there's a seller at $2. But so yeah, these ignore these. So we go back to the same level. We have a quite strong on the ask. We also have a big prop. It's mostly buying on the tape. It was refreshing as well. The offer was refreshing. Then was having a strong bid, and offer trap was getting chipped away. Then into $2, we offer trap started getting chipped away. We had a big stack on a bid with an actual bid prop. The tape was red. The tape was green, even the bigger orders. So the offer kept being chipped away. You can see 193, then it gets lower, 128. We're still holding quite a strongish bid as well. Again, tape is still big orders going through on a green. Broke off a trap. Bid came to support, but there's more on the ask at the next level. So once we broke $2, we met another like offer trap on the ask, but we also had a bid support, bid prop straight away above the previous like offer trap level, and the tape, yeah, still tape was quite strong, so green. Then the big bid prop stepped in, 500 on a bid, and actual stack on all the way through. Only like small offer trap, still at the same 201 level. Offer looks weak. Tape is like only small orders on the tape, one bigger one. Weaker bid, ask started refreshing, but then it was like it managed to push past 201. At 203 we started to see again refreshing on the offer, and a little bit weaker bid, small at 203 level, only small on the tape. This was like previous level once it broke the offer trap. Okay, what we notice next, bid weakness, ask keeps refreshing and failing to break its selling start. So it was kind of beginning to look weak. They no longer managed to pull lots of green orders, at least on a big tape. So we started seeing some selling on a big tape. Once this started refreshing, this beginning to beginning to look weak. This begins to refreshing at this level, and we see this selling on a big tape. So there's clearly a seller present at that level, at around 2ish. Big bid prop is still present at $2, but ask is also pushing down. So what we saw, we failed from 203 level. Bid bid prop was still at $2. This was getting stacked now as well on the ask, and it was refreshing, and actually walked back down from 203, 202, so 201. So then we started seeing bid prop being chipped away. Big orders on the tape, small tape red as well. Heavy selling and stack on ask. Ask started adding. There's no really big stack on at the key level of $2. Only the bid prop. This was beginning to refresh quite stronger and actually adding to it. As we can see, there's like 186, and then we have 140, 130, 100. This is still keeps getting chips away, still selling. As a heavy pressure and add, so they were refreshing and actually adding even more. This is being chipped away again. This happened really quickly. To what, 6 seconds, 3 seconds? We're talking almost each second, just additional adding and refreshing, and more selling. Yeah, still the same. All red, all red. Almost nothing left on the of that bid prop, big bid prop. This is even more aggressive. We're talking about like already 300, so almost 300 as well. And then it just got broke. $2 got broke. It flushed. Ask actually walked it down as well to those levels. We still see the this present stack walking it down below $2. Only red on the tape. So it's just the idea of, if we always say we don't show big size, they don't show size. So how do we treat this aggressive refreshing and actually adding, especially the adding size, because this does look like a strong saw short, and if thinking opposite way to what's being shown here, you'd think they actually maybe buying it up, because I don't think it faded all that much, this one. I think it held it and took it into the after hours. It's this, so that's the tape. Basically, the what's interesting I saw on the tape, MTD. And yeah, I think I'll keep it brief as well. Yeah, I'm still gonna be, for the next week, still need to keep the discipline going, minimizing number of trades, and just accept it for what it is, and thinking long term. Well, enjoy your trip away and have a good rest of the weekend.